Hi, my name is Adrienne Groff, and this is my Module 2 water filter investigation. So just to begin, this is just a picture to kind of start us off of what my dirty water looked like to begin. Just kind of gathered some things that I could find outside my apartment and added some water to it. The next picture over here is what you can see as far as how I chose to create the water filtration system. So I mimicked the idea that we should kind of go with what the earth actually does to filter water on its own. So I use the cheesecloth as the humus stage, and then followed by the charcoal as kind of like the topsoil. Originally, I'd put the charcoal at the bottom, and then I realized that the charcoal kind of darkened the water that came out, so it never really looked as clean. So I did a quick switcheroo after just a trial run. So I put the charcoal at the top, followed by the sand to kind of represent the subsoil, and then the gravel to obviously represent the bedrock. And then at the bottom here is where the clean water would appear. So the question that I decided to do for this investigation is, does the alum provide the cleanest filtered water? So this just lists some of my materials and the procedures. The things that I changed, if you look down at number 8, 9, and 10, was the fact that I split the dirty water into 3 glasses. I poured about a quarter of a cup of the alum mixture just to 1 glass. I left the other 2 glasses untouched by the alum. I set a timer for 30 minutes and allowed the alum mixture to do its job, but it also allowed for another glass to kind of do its own settling of materials to ultimately pull most of the mud and heavier aspects of the dirty water to the bottom of the glass. And then I left 1 glass that was completely untouched by the alum mixture, but also not allowed time for settling. Then I just basically poured each mixture through the water filtration, gave it some time, and collected the water at the bottom to compare the results. So this is just my data table. What you'll notice is at the top here, each of the glasses that I used kind of explains what each glass did as far as allowing the 30 minutes of settling and whatnot. Basically, through all 3 tests, it kind of stayed the same. It got a little bit more dirtier down at the bottom for test number 3 with the added alum, but I think that mostly comes into the fact that I did not change the materials in the water filter after each test. I kind of let them stay the same just because I was running out of materials. But you can definitely tell that the larger pieces of mulch flowed to the top for both the added alum and the settling bottle. So the water turned out a bit clearer than it did for the original control factor. So in conclusion, you can see these are the 2 glasses. The one on the left here is what I added the alum to, and the one on the right is what I allowed for just natural settling of the water particles. And down here is the completed investigation. So on the left is the control factor where there was no time left to settle and no additional alum was added to the mixture. The one in the middle, I guess it's not as clear in my picture, but it was definitely lighter than the controlled. And then the one on the right, which is very clear, is the one that the alum mixture was included in the beginning stages. And you can even see up here that the alum is definitely doing its job because the water in between the top layer and the bottom is definitely not clearer than the water in between the settling process one. So it's pretty evident that alum has definitely a high presence when it comes to providing cleaner water. A few things that I noted if I were to do this experiment again, one of those things would be to definitely maybe add an additional layer of coffee filters just because I think it would attract more of that dirt aspect in the water and kind of make it come out clearer and cleaner than what it originally had. You probably wouldn't see it in the alum, but in the other 2, you would hope to notice a difference. So as far as the inquiry continuum goes, originally when I sat down to do this project, I was like, oh, this is mostly teacher guided. However, as I really evaluated what I was doing, I came to the conclusion that there was no question that was posed for us. There was just a problem. And although we were provided with the materials, it wasn't demanded that we use all the materials that are present. So that's why I decided that we actually did more of a self-directed, student-centered, or student-guided, as I like to call it, as far as this continuum goes. we provided our own question. We used the materials that we wanted to use, not necessarily using the ones that were definitely provided. And student driven based on the fact that the students selected the question that was to be investigated. We formulated our own explanation after summarizing. So I pretty much, obviously, since I came up with my own question, I had to come up with my own conclusion and kind of summarize the evidence that I found, which kind of led into my own inquiry as far as like what would I have done differently, just in self-evaluating the whole process. However, it did become rather teacher-driven when we look at the materials. Although the teacher provided the multiple materials, they weren't necessarily all required to be in use, and we were never really truly given steps to complete the experiment. It was kind of all of on our own. And lastly, probably the most teacher-guided aspect was how we communicated. We were obviously given the guidelines as far as creating a presentation, doing a whole screencast, and keeping it within a time limit, as well as where to post the video and how to communicate it with our other peers. So that would be the most teacher-guided of the levels. So that is my project, and here's just the golden egg answers. So I have them all listed here. I won't run through them just in case I butcher some of your names. But that is my project, and I hope you enjoy.